Yeah, look, Nick rolled his ankle, hurt himself at training on Saturday over the weekend. And we're hopeful he'll be okay this weekend, but he hasn't trained early this week. He's still pretty sore, so we're told it's one that we can expect can improve pretty quickly later in the week. So we'll give him every opportunity. He's laid low early in the week, as was planned, and we'll just wait and see how he pulls up later in the week.
What does that look like for a team that's already missing Charles, most likely?
Yep.
Coming up against two competent key forwards, how does that shape up on the weekend?
Yeah, no doubt it presents some challenges. You would have seen in the pre-season that we've had a pretty young and inexperienced backline who've held up reasonably well. Hopefully this week, Tommy Duday gets through his final session and is in a position where he's available to play, and whether we choose that he's done enough to play is a match committee decision, as well as Jake Kelly will be available, who missed out in our last AFC Series game. So they're two guys that potentially come into calculations for us and help us bolster up our backline.
Bucks probably takes a pretty strong tomahawk. So Jeremy Cameron going to do day, Kelly roll around with Jeremy Cameron as a one-on-one matchup?
Yeah, I think they can. Yeah, he's a very unique forward in that he can take a contested grab, but he does work extremely hard up the ground and get some high release marks to them as well. So definitely have to think about how we match up on him, and it can't just be a standard tall defender. I think you can be a bit creative with how you can manage a Cameron as well. Yeah, so Fish is just a bit sore early in the week this week, so he wasn't out on the track today, but he'll play this weekend. Haven't decided at what level yet, but yeah, he's available to play.
Because there's reports out of Melbourne this morning that he wants to go home.
Okay.
Oh,
okay, well that's the first I've heard of any of that commentary. But he's a really important part of our playing group. He's obviously a high draft pick. We've invested a lot of time in Fish and seen him develop really well over the last couple of years. So he's firmly part of our plans for the future. So we'll work with him moving forward and see how that pans out.
You don't just a fresh set of eyes, BB. What do you make of both Fisher as a player and but also as a personality?
Yeah, look, he's obviously a defender, so I haven't spent a lot of one-on-one time with Fish and I guess the defenders in general. But as a mix for our young guys, like I'm really impressed with their work ethic and their ability just to want to get on with it. Particularly off the back of what the group went through last year in terms of having to build some resilience and address some challenges. They haven't, not once yet, fronted up and gone, let's just get better. Even after disappointing result in our last AFC Series game against Port, who we know are quality opposition, fronted up literally straight after the game, going, how do we get better? What can we do? Fish is a part of that, as is Lockie Scholes, Harry Schomburg, Chase Jones, these young guys coming through that youth and enthusiasm to just want to get better is going to hold us in good stead. So hopefully we can bear the fruits of that sooner rather than later. But it's going to be a work in progress for us while we continue to develop those guys. As I said, it's the first I've heard of it. And there's going to be conjecture around players that are out of contract. There is every year, and that's what's been a part of footy forever and a day, and particularly at this footy club. So we've dealt with it in the past. We'll deal with it however it comes up in the future as well. So not an issue for us at the moment.
A lot of Crows fans would have thought with Hardigan gone and Talia being out that he would have been next in line. It seems like he's been bereft his confidence a little bit over summer. How have the coaches actually assessed his summer?
Yeah, look, it's interesting sometimes the external criticisms and speculations on players, and often with coaches we have a different view on how we develop our players best to make sure that they're long-term players for us, which sometimes externally might mean you just throw them in the deep end and you see how they go, and other times it's about developing them to a point where we know that they can hold up at the level, and that's the challenge with young players. When you see they've got extreme talent and they've got a will to be at that highest level, we've got to make sure that any of those young players are ready to jump in when called upon and actually play the role that they need, versus throw them in the deep end and then bereft their confidence and make sure that they can be out there for the long term for us. So that's the challenge that we have as coaches, which externally sometimes it's hard to understand for our members and supporters, but I back them into trust that we're developing our players in the right way.
I guess that external views probably formed from the fact that Butts and Murray, it seems, are going ahead of him.
Yeah, look, it's the funny thing is with when you get drafted as an AFL player, where you get drafted is irrelevant once you become on the playing list, and that's hard to understand again externally, but it's just a number. how old you are in a footy club is just a number. So it's often quite entertaining to hear that because someone may be a high draft pick or a rookie pick, for example, that one should play before the other. And once they get now 4 walls and we develop them, everyone's on a level playing field. So whether it be a Riley Tilthorpe, who we take at pick 2 this year, or a James Borlase through our Next Generation Academy, the sky's the limit on both of them, and it's a matter of who progresses and puts himself ready. While we both think they'll be long-term players for us, whether we play one before the other, it's not dictated on where they get taken in the draft.
So confidence-wise, he's going okay?
He's going okay.
So with that being developed as quickly as you thought, obviously there's something to say that you touched on. Is there a question to be asked about whether he has the captain's program to develop at the speed you first thought?
Not necessarily. Everyone does develop at different rates. So for your first year player, sometimes they come in and they're ready to jump straight in, which you see at a number of clubs, and you've seen here in the past as well. And then other guys can take a little bit longer to develop. So I wish we knew as coaches and as recruiters who was going to be ready to jump straight in, or similarly, if they were going to take 3 or 4 years, it wouldn't necessarily determine whether that's where they jump in or they jump out of the side, or whether we pick them or we don't pick them. But that's the challenge of dealing with a young side that we've got at the moment, is finding that balance of development and getting experience into them at AFL level. So we feel like we've got a handle on that as a coaching group.
Is there a particular area for position?
Look, I'm not going to go into specifics on individual players, but he'll be aware with his coach, with Scotty Burns and Matty Nix, around what particular areas of his game he needs to work on at the moment, as would I'd expect every other player on the list to know what they need to work on.
Has Riley Tilthorpe done enough? He's played a great deal. Has he done enough to throw under the Wolves?
He's done enough to show us he's going to be a really exciting talent for us moving forward. Some of the stuff he's done on the training track, and for a guy his size at his age, is pretty remarkable. So he's a very exciting prospect for us moving forward. And as I said, we've got to work out when the time is right for him to be exposed to AFL footy. And I know he'd want to jump out tomorrow if he could, or probably yesterday if he could. But it's a matter of us finding the right times that we have a long-term development for all our players. So he's in that mix as well.
Is that things that how many K's got in the body, those sort of things?
Yeah, and that's the challenge with the guys we particularly picked up last year, is a lot of them come off restricted seasons and pre-seasons, off injury and off what COVID presented last year. So we've got to be aware of that. And first-year players now coming into an AFL system are exposed to probably higher intensity levels of training, durations, etc. So they've got to actually adapt their bodies to it. So we've got to be smart and trust our S&C guys to make sure that they give us the information and allow the player to be in a position to hold up and play at their best when they get to AFL standard. Yeah, look, Matty got through the Port Adelaide game well, and he's going to be one we'll manage leading into this weekend. But confident that he'll be available and ready to go for us. He's an important part of our midfield mix, one of our senior guys in there, so I'll lean on him a bit in terms of what we need as a midfield group. And speaking to him today, yeah, he's confident he'll be right this weekend. Thanks for that, Troy.
midfield group that you've got work with going into this?
Holistically, I'm really excited. I mean, we've got some experience in there with, I'll call Riley O'Brien now, becoming experienced in his craft. We've got Sloaney, Lairdy, Paul Seedsman going through there, and we touched on Crouchy as well, as experienced guys who have been around for a period of time now, and then a lot of youth coming through. So it's going to be exciting for us and a good challenge for us as coaches to find that midfield mix and what works.
On Lairdy in particular,
yeah.
Everyone loves him in Supercoach, so everyone knows he's playing there. Have you had a chance to have a say? Where does Rory Laird play for 2021?
I think all line coaches want Lairdy in their area, so I'm putting my hand up to have him in the midfield. So he was one that was exposed to the mids later in the year last year, and like any good player, he was a duck to water in the midfield, which sometimes half-backs can struggle when they come up on ball, but he's been able to, as I said, duck to water, just get to work and play to his strengths. So I'm hoping that he's available and ready for me in the midfield. I'd certainly have him picked in there, so I'll be putting his magnet where I need it this week.
Jackson Hayden's doing the runs.
Yeah, Jacko's all right. Jacko's fine. He'll play this weekend for more reports, what I believe. So Bit of soreness as guys have come off big pre-seasons and managing different issues that everyone has in their bodies, but he's fine.
Which team is he likely to play?
Can't tell you that yet.
How many debutants can we expect on the weekend?
To be honest, we haven't had any discussions or serious discussion yet around what our round one team looks like. I think we have a fair idea, but I'm not going to speculate yet until we've had main training later in the week around what that might look like. There's a fair chance there'll be some guys in line.
Just in general though, round one, the team's obviously excited about not only this game but the year ahead.
Yeah, they are. Look, and we're coming up against a quality opponent in Geelong, who obviously grand finalists from last year, I think have been the benchmark in the comp for a number of years. So huge task for us. And we're looking forward to seeing how our system holds up against one of the best in the comp. So hopefully we can get as many supporters as we can out of the game. I know it's restricted with COVID restrictions at Adelaide Oval, but still 75% is a big number for us, and our boys can't wait to play in front of the crowd. So looking forward to it.